Okay, let's see what we got here. All right. Boy. Hi, everyone. Matter of fact, let me go get my drink. People coming on. It is 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. Mr. DeMornay, my son Brandon. What's up, people? All right, I'm gonna go grab a drink. I'll be right back. You're about to see me in my little shorty shorts. Okay. Okay. Hello, Brianna. Hi, Gemini. Okay, people. All right. We have lots to discuss. And it's really kind of interesting because I think that it's relatively simple what we're discussing tonight. Sandra. I'm not surprised. Scott Goynier is right behind me. We live in front of Sandra Onassis. Now, Sandra, you know I don't do mess. I just tell the facts as I see them. Ontario. You know I'm doing a show on you. Ontario. You know I'm doing a show on you. Hey, you. Hey. Just got on. My good Judy has made it home. Come say hello. Come.
See my shoe?
I see your shoe. Come here. Say hello to the fans.
Hi, y'all. How you doing?
I haven't even started yet. Hey, Scott. Okay. So, while we're still waiting on people to get on, let me bring you all up to speed on what's going on with me. Only 3 pages of notes today. So I am going to need, hello, grandson. Good to see you, Tanner. I only have 3 pages of notes. 1, 2, 3 pages of notes. So I'm going to need you all's participation in this topic to keep it interesting. Now, as always, hi, Jane. Who else is on here? Hi, Jane. As always, I just tell the facts as I see them. And, you all can decide what you think. So before I get started, let me just kind of bring you all up to speed since our last meeting. I'm still living in Florida. I have moved a little bit further out from Miami. I'm now in Oakland Park, which is a subdivision of Fort Lauderdale. And so I'm liking it much, much better. The, hi Apollo, hey Felix. The eye candy here is pretty fantastic. And needless to say that I've been able to be active while I'm here. However, haven't quite found a husband yet, but we're working on that, so we'll see how that goes. I took a little bit of a break from this for many reasons. One, as you all know, I started a new career. I retired from pageantry, etc. And so I'm working in corporate America in the funeral and cemetery industry. I am eye candy. Well, thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. Anyway, yes, twin, I need you to come on. Anyway, so that's going well, but I'm adjusting to that. And well, hi D'Artagnan. And then also too, and I was keeping this kind of a secret, is that I was actually kind of sort of preparing for Westland Classic. As you all know, I always said that if I step back into competing, that I would do Westland Classic. I have no desire to compete against the young boys. I think I've proven my point that I can beat young boys, and I was going to do Westland Classic. So I kind of took a hiatus from this to kind of put my head down and focus on that, and lost the weight and got my body in order and so on and so forth and on all of that. But, the things that I preach on this show is what I live by. And so things did not come together with my package the way that I wanted to. And so instead of presenting a package that I didn't feel was 100% winnable, I decided not to do it. And when I decided to do it was a little bit later in the game. And so therefore, hey, Devon, hey, Adonis, good to see you, my son. I did, as I always say, I don't put myself in a situation where it's not winnable. So anyway, I didn't do it, but I will say now, my plan is to do Western Classic next year. So, and I have to make that decision within 3 weeks because 3 weeks would be 9 months from the contest. And you know what I always say, I always prepare 9 months out before a contest, but I do plan to be on the stage at Western Classic next year. So there you go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get on topic. So as I always say, welcome to Crowning Concepts. I am Kyle Ian Haggerty, former Mr. Well, y'all know what I'm a former Mr. of quite a few things. So I won't list them for you. Well, I kind of got to list it. So I have to do my disclaimer. I always start with my disclaimer. The opinion on this live video is the opinion of Kyle Ian Haggerty. It is not the opinion of any of the moderators here on Let's Talk Pageants. It's not the opinion of the owners of Mr. Black America, Mr. Gay America, National King of Hearts, United States, Renaissance, World America, or Mr. Gay World, okay? It is Kyle's opinion. So anything that I say is not a reflection on the board and owners of the previous titles I have held, okay? All right, so today's topic is dethroning. You know, when should a person be dethroned? You know, how do you go about dethroning someone? Who wins? Who loses? What's legal? What's not legal? Obviously, you know, and I'm not even going to try and perpetrate that there's not a catalyst of this topic. The catalyst of this topic was the dethroning. Why is my son trying to call me and he knows I'm doing the show? Michael J. Valentine, you know, and so there was a lot of things being said about him and about Ray Sean and about the Queen and King system and all of that. And, you know, and I tend not to get involved in mess to a certain extent, but I'm reading certain things. And of course, people are asking me my opinion and I'm kind of going, okay, there's a lot of misnomer here. There's a lot of miscommunication here. There's a lot of misinformation here. There are many people that, that just don't got it right and don't understand it from a business perspective as well. So as we all know here on Crowning Concepts, my goal is to always educate and just put the facts out there and you make your own opinion. But I do think that this whole thing with dethroning has gotten out of hand. And so therefore, I decided to do a topic on it. Hey, Arizona, still waiting for you to send me butt pics into my inbox. I'm hungry. Okay, so Sandra, you can request your butt pics on another video. This is not that video. However, you know, there are promoters and contestants that be sending butt pics and, you know, those kind of pictures to each other, which ties into this dethroning thing. So I'm trying to decide if I'm going to address that or not. We'll see. So please feel free to ask questions. I will answer questions in real time. If your questions are going very quickly, and if I do not see it, please feel free to retype it. And I promise that I will answer as many questions as I can get, okay? Yes, Aries Mateo Kelly. I do have an inbox too, so when you get done sending it to Sandra, you can send it to me. Okay, so I've done that. Okay, so I've done my request. All right, so what I want to accomplish, and then we're going to start getting into the meat of this, is that I want you all to understand what dethroning really is and what impact it really has, you know, on the promoter and on the contestants. Okay, let me be clear, and I'm going to do this disclaiming statement right off the break. When you dethrone someone, if a pageant director dethrones a title holder, or in some cases, when a title holder dethrones themselves, in most cases, nobody wins. Everybody loses. Understand that, okay? It doesn't matter who's right. It doesn't matter who's wrong. At the end of the day, everybody loses. And to my sons, Brandon, Jay, Adonis, Ricky, please do me a favor and text your brother, Eros, and let him know that I'm doing the show now and to quit calling me and texting me and all of that. If you could do that for me, that'd be great. Okay, so I want to put that disclaimer out there right off the break, okay? So what are the reasons for dethroning someone? 9 out of 10 times, I would venture to say 10 out of 10 times, is that it's because a contract was not fulfilled on either side. Either a contract was signed and the promoter didn't do what they were supposed to do, or the contestant did an infraction that was based on that contract. Almost every time, that is a reason why a person is dethroned. And remember, dethroning and quitting are two separate things, and I'm going to address that later, okay? So let's just make sure that we have that terminology in order, all right? Most contracts, and I'm saying this to all the contestants out there who are competing, most contracts that you sign when you win a title is one-sided. It is in the benefit of the promoter. Because remember, at the end of the day, the promoter has more to lose than the contestant. Okay, in most cases, that promoter has bought a franchise to said system. If it's a single standing system, they have invested money into it. You, as their title holder, they have you for 1 year. 1 year only, okay? They don't, they have other title holders they're going to have after you. So your tenure of time is 1 year. The pageant system or their prelim or whatever they have is their legacy and it's their business investment. So your contract in most cases are going to be one-sided. That contract is going to state what you're going to get financially as far as going to the next level if it's a preliminary and what you should expect from them as far as your prizes. Also in that contract, it's going to be very clear. I would like to hope that it's being very clear of what their expectations of you are, okay? Now, in this whole thing, I have heard, now mind you, now I'm doing hearsay here, okay? I have heard that Michael said that he did not read his contract. Now, that's rumor. He didn't say it to me. I do not know. I hope that is not true. So item number 1, read your contract. Hello, Mercedes, my queen is on the line. And I'll get to that at the end about as far as reading your contract, okay? But at the end of the day, understand if you are a contestant, that contract will be one-sided because this is that promoter protecting their business. Understand it, okay? In most cases, I know when I won all of my titles, America, Black America, Renaissance, all of them, I did not get money until I read that contract, until I signed it. And with Black America and America, actually, I'll do one better. When I was first runner-up at AAG, Scott Goiner, I know you're on the line, I had to sign a first runner-up contract when I was first runner-up to Jose Vega. And when I tell you he stood there, yes, Scott, I'm talking about you, he stood there with the envelope. I think I got $800 that night. Okay. Yes, allegedly. Tanisha, exactly. Okay. Scott Goiner held that envelope in his hand, put that contract in front of me, stood over me while I sat down, read the pages. And it wasn't a dreadfully long contract, maybe 5 pages, whatever it was. I had a couple of questions. I asked Scott. He answered my question. I initialed all the paragraphs. I signed at the end. I went like this. He gave me my envelope. I handed him his contract. He gave me a copy. I went back home to Virginia. Okay. Scott was right there when I read the contract. So now mind you, it was a first runner-up contract. I'm sure he did the same thing with Jose Vega. Okay. Who had won that night. Okay. And I was his first runner-up. So, at the end of the day, understand contracts are one-sided. All right. And contestants, if you think anything otherwise, you're not thinking. All right. So let's talk about the Michael Valentine situation. Let me be clear. Michael is my friend. I don't know Michael extremely well, but we have a very pleasant relationship, both personally and professionally. I competed with Michael once. He was my third runner-up when I won Mr. Gay America. Michael, he's a stellar contestant. He's won EOY. He's won Continental. He's won some other stuff. He's talented. He's very good looking. I think he has a really good shot at winning AAG. He just qualified for that. We're going to talk about that in a moment. So really, in many ways, I don't have nothing negative to say. I can only speak the facts as they are. But again, it's his situation that is the catalyst of this video. Therefore, why I am mentioning his name, okay? I have read the letter that Rayshawn put out, okay? I know Rayshawn. Rayshawn, I've known him forever. He is the only gentleman, he stands in a class by himself, that he is the only one that's won the entire Big Four. He's won USA, he's won America, he's won EOY, he's won Continental. Okay, I mean, what can you say? He's won AAG, he's won Black Universe. What can you say? The brother knows how to win a contest. Period, full stop. Okay, which means that he knows how to be a national title holder, as far as winning. Okay, so I just want to be very clear that, who the players are that we're talking about and what they bring to the table, okay, in this situation. Both of them are seasoned entertainers, seasoned competitors, both have reigned nationally, and one is now a national promoter. So now we know the dynamics here, okay? So I read the letter in which he wrote, all right? And the major infraction, the way that I understand it here, is that Michael competed in a preliminary for All-American Gent, okay? And the way I understand it, he's giving up his title in roughly 3 to 4 weeks, okay? That seems to be one of the major catalysts on why he, got dethroned from his title. Well, my first question would be, for what reason would Michael do a preliminary, hi Savannah, why Michael would do a preliminary 3 weeks out from giving it up, okay? My personal thought is that the preliminary that he went to, who is Anthony Simmons, who is an amazing promoter. I've never reigned for Anthony, but Anthony is the promoter of Midwest. He has top fives, if I'm not mistaken. I think the reigning All-American Gent is his contestant. He spends buku money on his promoter. He's just a fantastic promoter. End of story. Okay, so I can understand why if I was to go back to AAG, my first stop would be Anthony Simmons. Okay, so I understand it. But that would be my first question to him. Okay, because my assumption is Michael read his contract and it states clearly in the contract that you can't do another preliminary or you can't do another contest until you give it up. Now, another note to contestants. When you are deciding what contest to do, one of the first questions you need to ask in this era of saturated pageantry is it an exclusive contract or is it an open contract? I think Westland, I don't know if they still do it, but the one thing that Westland does that I think is amazing, they have 2 contracts. They have one if you're not going to compete in anything else, and they have another and if you're going to do something else. That's what I understand, in their regular division. Okay? And so you have a choice, and I'm sure that there's a financial difference and so on and so forth. I don't know. I'm not Westland yet. So, I really don't know. But in that case, you know what's going on. Okay, so my thought is that, the type of money Rayshawn gives out, hold on a second, it's only one. You can't do anything. Oh, okay, Mercedes, thank you for that clarification. Westland is exclusive, which means you can't do another contest. Okay, I didn't know that. I don't have any problems with the contract except that it should be done. It should be done privately. Savannah, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that because I don't necessarily agree with that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay, so at the end of the day, contract was read. It stated in contract that you're not to do another prelim. He decides to do another prelim. Okay, that is his decision. I get it. Now, let me tell you something else I heard. Again, I'm dealing with rumor. I do not know. I hear that part of the challenge was that Michael supposedly, allegedly, did not get his money. I don't know that. Okay, I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. All right. If that is the case, then you handle that a little bit differently. Okay. Let's assume for a moment that he did get it. If he did get it, then what's going to wind up happening is that the promoter is going to wind up showing receipts online, and then that's going to be a problem if that is the case, okay? And then if the money was not given, then obviously that's a problem on the promoter side because King and Queen Pageantry does not have prelims. The one thing that makes them special is the level of money that they get and how they pay and allow their title holders to tour on their dime, which I think is absolutely amazing. So again, I don't know what the real story is on either side of it, but at the end of the day, if the money was paid, receipts will be shown, and if it wasn't, it will be proven. And so I find that also to be very problematic. Yes, Albert, there is always 2 sides to a story. There are 2 sides and the truth. So I totally get that. But at the end of the day, to me, this is very cut and dry. The contract says you can't compete in another system. He competed. The contract says what his money obligations were to be, and one of 2 things happened. He either got all of his money and receipts can be proven, or he did not, and that can be proven. So at the end of the day, this should not have happened. Let me do one other thing. Just because you did not, if you sign a contract stating, okay, and contestants, I need you to listen to me. If you sign a contract stating that you cannot compete in another system, okay? And then that pageant does not give you your money. We know that happens all the time too, okay? That does not mean Prince Travis had made statements about having to pay for Michael because Queen didn't. Okay. Adonis, I need you to prove that if you're going to put that out there. Tell Prince, tag him in this, tell him to come on here and say that. Okay. One other thing too, the way that I understand it, okay, Adonis, since you want to go there, the way that I also understand it with King and Queen Pageantry, that they make it very clear what nationals that they will pay to go and what nationals that they don't. And by the way, since Michael is a former EOY, should he really be paying for him to go there? For real? Okay, that's just my thought, okay? But the way that I understand it is that because part of your prize package with Queen Pageantry is that they pay for certain nationals for you to go to. If EOY was not on that itinerary, then Queen is not responsible. Okay? Adonis, you're killing me. Stop. Okay, my son is acting crazy. So anyway, so let me get back on topic here because I'm about to lose topic, all right? So if that promoter does not give you money, contestants, hear me. That does not mean that that warrants you the opportunity to go to another pageant. That is not correct because you still signed a contract that while you have that crown, while you have that sash, while you still have that prize money that you won, you are not to compete in another system. Period. So if you didn't get your money, you didn't get your prize money, blah, 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 blah. If that is the case, then what you do is you dethrone yourself. You resign, you give them a letter, you return your crown and sash, you say, you make it very clear, this was the payment schedule of money I was supposed to get, you did not give it to me, you infringed on the contract in which you wrote, so therefore I am not your title holder. You cut it off first, and then you go to a prelim for something else. That is how you handle that.
Preach!
Okay? It's cut and dry. It's kind of like when you're in a relationship. If you're in a relationship, Tio, I just got done talking. You missed a very important part of what I just said, Tio. Anyway, if you're in a relationship and if it's not working out, before you go and get another boyfriend, you break up with the one that you got and then you go get the other one. Okay, so if Michael did not get his money or if he was supposed to... also, those who enjoy Michael appearances and performance probably represent King. And as usual, that is... Okay, Adonis, why are you writing a paragraph? It's a shame to see... women, I stand up for you, and I'm ashamed to see you in this nonsense, especially knowing that you've talked to Michael J. Valentine to hear his side of the story, and yet another person who has done a lot of business with this is not how you should be treated with clients. Okay, so let me go ahead and address this, because... a lot of people are talking about the letter going out. I was going to wait on that. I'm going to go ahead and address that now. People are saying that Rayshawn should not have put out that letter publicly. I disagree. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why I'm okay with him putting out publicly. Okay? Oh, on Queen's page. Okay, Adonis, that's fine. Thank you for posting that, Adonis. I appreciate it. Let me tell you why. I'm not saying I endorse it, but why I don't have a problem with it. Because at the end of the day, Michael went to an AAG prelim without resigning his title first. Okay? It was posted publicly that he was going to this. He didn't do it in private. So therefore, he put himself out there publicly, which defames the system because as soon as he went out publicly, okay, as soon as he went out publicly and entered this prelim publicly, he has now put his title publicly in compromise. Okay? So therefore, his promoter, the promoter of King, publicly put out that he has been dethroned. I'm not saying it's right. Okay? I'm not saying it's right. I have been a national director of Globe United States for 5 years. I had an issue with one winner. I never went public with it. I don't do that. But Rayshawn is not wrong for doing that because the person who was his title holder went public by doing a preliminary. Public. As soon as we heard he was doing a preliminary, well, hold on a second. Is he not king? Public. Okay, so again, I'm not saying it's right, but I don't think Rayshawn is wrong for that. So I just kind of want to say that, say that as well. Now, in that same letter, Rayshawn has asked for the return of all monies, crown, and sash. Okay. Now, if you're going to ask for all money, crown, and sash, most definitely without question, okay? But I don't necessarily agree with money paid to this point, because at the end of the day, Michael paid an entry fee to enter it, okay? He got his prize money because he entered the contest and won the contest regardless of the amount of contestants that was there. He walked the stage, he won the contest, okay? Therefore, he's entitled to that prize money because he paid the entry fee, he did the pageant, he won the pageant, okay? In the contract, it stated while he was reigning that he gets a certain amount of money every month. Why, as a promoter, he couldn't have waited until after the promoted event instead of casting a cloud over the event that was going so great? Sandra, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I agree with you more than I disagree with that statement. I'm just saying at the end of the day, I get why he did it publicly. I totally get it. Because now he's put people on notice that he's not going to tolerate that, which I don't think is a bad thing. And you promoters on here, I've seen some of you all do some things to put people on notice too. Okay, not to be doing foolishness. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. So anyway, Michael walked the stage, he won the contest. He reigned until Rayshawn dethroned him. So while he was reigning, that he paid the money until then. Okay, so really, if Michael went to the national walks that was required in his contract, now, if he didn't go to national walks that was required in his contract, then that's another problem. But if he did the minimum of the contract and he reigned, then the money he got, in my opinion, he earned. However, if it does state in that contract that if you infringe upon this contract, if it does state that all monies are returned, that's very different. I have not read the contract, so I don't know it. I'm just telling you the facts as I see it. So if it states in that contract, if you are dethroned, that all money, including crown and sash, needs to be returned, and he signed it, then it needs to be returned because that's stated in writing. If that's not stated clearly, then the money up to when he was dethroned, he is entitled to. As he promoted the system all year, he made appearances, did promos. I say he shouldn't get the remaining 3 weeks' pay. There's nothing else for him to get. He's been dethroned. Okay, he entered another prelim. He defied his contract. Period. There's nothing else to talk about. When it comes to that. Okay, so my thing is this. In the letter that he was given, Rayshawn is saying that he wants everything returned back. What I'm saying is that if it states that directly in the contract, he's entitled to it. And if it's not, he is not outside of the crown and sash and medallion and the rose thing or whatever that he's asking for. That's just my personal opinion. I haven't read the contract. So as my mother would say, I'm speaking from here because I have not read it. Okay? Now, a lot of people, again, with Rayshawn doing it publicly, I don't necessarily think it was the right thing, but I don't think it's wrong because at the end of the day, the infraction was done publicly. Okay? So let's talk about reasons for being dethroned. And if you are a contestant, I need you to hear this. Okay? If you're not showing up for your appearances, especially those that are contractual, not showing up for your prelims, certain national walks that are required, and you're simply not showing up based on what your contract says, then you should be dethroned. Now, some people would say, well, my title wants me, my director wants me to go to US of A and Black Universe and Continental, but they're not paying for anything. Guess what? If you sign for that, then that means you have to go because that's what's expected. Because when you sign that contract, if it didn't say that they was paying for it, then you knew that you was getting there on your own, or you signed something without understanding it. Now, this is a point that I was going to make at the end, but I'm going to go ahead and make it now. Willie E. Jackson, I will say in a contract, if one thing on the contract isn't held, then the contract is not valid. So anything after that can be upheld. Willie, I did consult with an attorney on the letter. I have a young lady who I used to coach who is now a practicing attorney. I will address that closer to the end of this. That your statement is in part true, but not in all true. And I'm not an attorney. I do not have a legal degree, but I did speak to one of my former clients who is an attorney just to make sure that what I'm saying is correct because I wouldn't want to give out misguided information. Okay. But Willie, I do appreciate that comment because there's part of that is true. Okay. All right. So another thing too is that if the promoter allocates money and gives you money for something and you are not using it, like for example, I've seen someone get dethroned that their promoter gave them money for their pictures and they spent it on costuming. You can't do that. Okay. Bad social media. I've seen people get dethroned for that. Okay. Y'all need to be watching that. Okay, and then some of you all that have, let's say, side businesses that are more of the adult nature, some titles don't care, some titles do. Okay, the one thing I don't understand though is that when a pageant crowns a particular contestant that has an adult-oriented side business, okay, and then you crown them, and that's not in your contract, and then you want to have issues with their side business, knowing when you crown them that they had it and it's not in your contract. Crazy. Okay? Read the fine print. Well, first of all, in the contract, there should be no fine print. Okay? Like America, like Black America, like Renaissance, like all the titles that I had, you sit down with the contract. I'm sitting here. The promoter is sitting there. You go through every single page of it. Every word, every sentence, every period, every comma. You ask questions. If there's something that needs to be there, you initial it, you do an addendum. Right there. Okay? Let Judge Judy settle it, Dan. You're kidding. You're killing me, Dan. But I couldn't agree with you more. Okay? So, at the end of the day, guys, read it. But let me say this, because I was going to say this at the end, but I'm going to say it now. Reading your contract and understanding your contract is not the same thing. It is not the same thing. Whole bunch of y'all are reading words and not understanding content. I find that to be problematic. I do. I find it to be problematic. Okay? You need to understand it, because if there's something that you don't understand, you ask. If you're sitting across the person that you're going to be working for the entire year and they got some foolishness on a sheet of paper and you don't understand it, if you sign it, you the fool. Okay, Article 1, Section this says this. I do not understand it. Okay, if you don't like the wording, you take pen, you change the wording on the document, you initial it, they initial it. I've done that before. You should not walk away from that contract not understanding it. Promoters, you should not walk away from that contract and giving the contestant their money, think not sure if they understand it. They are the face of your organization. They need to understand your expectations. Drives me nuts, okay? Another thing, all infractions are not the same. Okay? All infractions, and an infraction in one system may be a slap on the wrist on another. Okay? I will give you an example, okay? And I'll use myself to keep it objective for you guys. When I was Mr. Renaissance, it was in the contract that you can't wear jeans, okay, on any of your appearances, which is fine. And they want you to look a certain way when you travel. Okay, when I was Mr. Renaissance. I'll never forget my first prelim for Mr. Renaissance. I had on these like khaki kind of pants and this shirt and this ball cap. When I tell you Randall threatened to take my title in 5 quickness like that, because I got on an airplane lot looking like Mr. Renaissance. Now, when I was Mr. USA, 4 years previous, USA could give 2 shits about what you look like on an airplane. As long as I looked handsome, my body was right, my costume was right, I looked good and I knew how to entertain and be an administrator during the pageant. That's all USA cared about. Renaissance, I had to look like Mr. Renaissance walking off the plane. 2 same action, 2 different infractions. USA didn't care. Renaissance, I could have got dethroned. Okay? So again, it's about not only reading, because it said in my contract when I was Renaissance that you are to look national when traveling. To me, national was just not wearing jeans. And I remember that trip. I didn't look national now that I knew what it meant. But for USA didn't give a flip. So reading it is one thing. Understanding it is something else. So when you do that, do that. Okay? Let's see here. Should a contestant be dethroned? Okay, now there are times when a contestant may feel the need to dethrone themselves. Let's see. I love Rayshawn, but Michael is my best friend, so of course I will pick his side. Okay, William. I have learned either in grown people and their own choices. Okay, well, so let me address that really, really quick, okay? As I always say, your friends, especially those that are closest to you, are going to tell you the truth, and your fans are going to tell you what you want to hear, okay? I think that you should be 100% supportive of Michael. I'm supportive of Michael. I hate that this happened to him because I think he's a stellar contestant. I think he's a very, very nice person, and my rapport with him has always been very good. I don't feel good about this, okay? And I'm sad this has happened to him. But as his best friend and supporting him, you need to tell him that, yes, you reigned, but you know you were wrong for doing that prelim under any circumstances. And as his friend, because he made that decision, I'm not telling you to come down on him. That's not what I'm telling you. But now you got to be there to support him through it. You got to be there to support him through it. Okay? So as his best friend, educate him on, he's a 2-3-time national title holder. He is one of the top guys in the country. Okay, newcomers and new performers and new competitors respect him and they look up to him. Hey, Angel, congratulations on your reign as USA. People look up to him. And so as his friend, remind him of that, because even through this, he's still going to go on and win other stuff. He's still going to go on and be a major competitor. Okay? So, be his friend and hold his hand and hug him through this, because this is not going to be easy, because at the end of the day, he did infringe on his contract. Period. Outside of what Rayshawn did. Okay, so that's just my thought to you, and there's no shade when I say this. And what I always say, there is zero shade in the truth. Zero. Okay? All right, so sometimes as a contestant, you may have to dethrone yourself. Okay? Do I think you should dethrone yourself? No, I don't think you should. Okay? Because remember, whenever you dethrone, if a promoter dethrone you, or you quit and dethrone yourself, everybody loses. Everybody loses. And it doesn't matter if it's local, state, national, international, whatever. Excuse me. Everyone loses. Okay? And so let's say that you are in a situation, could this affect his reputation? I'm going to talk about reputation at the end, Drew. Okay, I'm going to talk about reputation at the end. Yes, reputation is affected. Okay? A lot of times some promoters don't do what they say they're going to do. Okay? As we all know, I've done a show on how promoters should act and what they should do. Okay, so I'm not going to get into that right now. But a lot of times a promoter don't have their money at the end of the pageant. Their prize money. Promoters, like I said before, you should walk through the door with your prize money. So if you have 0 people sitting in that audience and 1 contestant, you can still pay your money. Kudos to Rayshawn for having his money in order, considering the contestant base that he had at his first pageant. Okay? So again, some of y'all may want to come down on him, but at the end of the day, Rayshawn had his money. So there you go. Okay? All right. Sometimes, they're supposed to send you to the next level, and they don't do what they're supposed to do that. There are many things that promoters promise that they just simply don't do. And you're just like, forget this, I ain't dealing with it. And you want to quit and what I call dethrone yourself. Well, you can do that, but you lose by doing that, okay? What you should do is sit your behind down, wait until the time is over. Mr. Haggerty, you unemployed professional. Well, thank you, Darrington, I appreciate that. Sit down, wait until your year is over, show up for your give up, assume the promoter is not going to have their money, give up your title, don't go back as a former if you choose not to, and then move on to your next title. And if you feel the need to do another prelim because that promoter didn't do what they were supposed to do, then you respectfully resign quietly. And then, now he hears me preach this stuff all the time, so... Anyway.
Preach.
All right, Lou. All right. So anyway, respectfully step down and then go compete in another contest. But just dethroning yourself and going like this, that's not the way to do it. Okay? So just understand that. Okay, so I've been also hearing a lot of things about legal action. Oh my gosh, guys, look how gray my hair is. Lord Jesus. Look at that. Okay, I'm sorry, that was sidebar. I think I may have to dye my hair or something. Since I've been in pageants, I don't really care about my hair being gray, but I think I'm gonna have to dye this puppy. Okay, anyway. So, another thing that I've been hearing about is, well, if Michael didn't get his money, that he should sue Rayshawn for his money. Or, because Rayshawn put out this letter that he should sue for defamation of character. That, Michael competed in the prelim and didn't do it, and if Michael doesn't give him back his money, then Rayshawn should take him to court, to get his money, his crown, and his sash back. I've been hearing a lot of that too. So, I have, as you all know, I won't get into it, I've been coaching in the industry, nationally and internationally, for 26 years. Trust me, I have a client or two that not only have their law degree, but have practiced law and currently practicing law. So before this, I sent that letter out, had a conversation with one of my girls. She's been to Miss America and she's been to Miss USA. She has been to both. Practicing attorney, okay? And I said, read this. Is there defamation of character here based on this going out on Facebook? And I explained to her exactly what had transpired, okay? So she said, well, Kyle, without knowing the people and doing the deposition and so on and so forth, I can only just kind of tell you how the law read and some things to worry about or to think about. So I'm going to take it from that angle. So I'm going to do this to, let's say, educate and not necessarily pick sides on this because, again, I have no skin in this game. I'm not on the inside of it. I'm just voicing an opinion, okay? So defamation of character is an overarching legal term, a question of reputation. Because of one person's actions, was another person's reputation being damaged? And there are certain things that have to qualify that was damaged, but it was damaged because this person had intent to do so. And intent is very important, in defamation of character. So let's kind of go over that real quick. So I'm going to give, because defamation of character is kind of a catch-all when it comes to, the damage of reputation, okay? In this defamation, okay, there's a couple of things. The first thing is that, are there false statements in the publication, in what was put out? Are there false statements? Is there anything in that letter that is not true? That one in itself, he could be sued for defamation. If there is something in the body of that letter that was put out publicly that is not true. So I read the letter. I've actually read it 3 times. I'm sure we all have. If there's anything that's not true, defamation. Okay? So Michael, I'm sure someone is going to forward you and tag you on this. Let me be very clear. I am still your fan. I am still your friend. Okay? If Rayshawn put something in that letter that is not true, then you have a cause for defamation. So that's the first thing. Okay? The second thing is that in said letter, is it a statement of fact with no opinion or editorializing? Okay? All right. I will give you an example. Okay? Contract said that you are not to compete in another system. That statement of fact, that's in there. Okay? Let's say in the letter he said, I am upset that you competed in another prelim and therefore I'm dethroning you. Defamation, okay? Because that's editorializing a stated fact instead of stating the fact clearly, okay? You can't editorialize, okay? Now, at the bottom of the letter, it states that he is sad that this has happened, but that's not really defamation because it's at the end of the letter and he's not tying it in to an above statement of why he was dethroned. So let me just be clear on that, okay? The second thing is that the person who is suing for defamation of character have to be able to say how specifically this has hurt his reputation and how that lack of reputation has hurt his income. Okay? What is the cause and effect? What jobs is he losing? What contests can he no longer do? What bookings is he losing? What revenue stream is he losing? And the way that I understand it, since that prelim, he's been booked. The way that I understand it, and will continue to be booked. So again, therefore, okay, if he can prove that because this letter went out and promoters are calling him saying, you can't do my pageant, you can't be in my contest, and promoters where he's a former saying, because of this, I'm no longer going to allow you to come back as a former. And that where he is on cast that says, you know something, because of this incident, we can no longer hire you. And he's trying to book himself out, and people are saying because of that letter, that he cannot be booked, and he can prove that, then yes, that means that this letter, now mind you, in all of that, if he can prove that, he also has to prove it's because not only was his reputation was damaged, but it was also damaged on false information. If the information is true, okay, information is true, and it damages reputation on truth, that's not defamation. It's truth. Okay? If there's financial harm, okay? So he has to be able to prove that. You know, although some people are going pain and suffering, okay? So, again, he's still working, he's still performing. So if the pain and suffering is that bad that he's been dethroned from king and he's still working, that's going to be hard to prove, in my humble opinion, okay? Another thing, too, is that, hold on one second, can the promoters sue for the crown snatch? Okay, I'll get to that in a minute. Okay. Also, too, some of you all said, well, he should have kept it private. Regardless of the content of it, should be kept private. In the contract now, if you're a contestant, this is very important, so listen to this. If there is a confidentiality clause in that contract, okay, here's some knowledge for you. I got this from the attorney too. Let's say in the contract there's a confidentiality clause saying that whatever is discussed within the system and whatever decisions are made are to be kept private amongst the board and the title holders and the court and cannot go public. If that's in the contract and then the promoter makes it public, the promoter has just infringed upon his own contract. Guess what? Then there's defamation. Okay, because if there's a confidentiality clause that have now gone public, unless it states that he as the promoter can make anything go public. Again, it all depends on how it reads, and not only reading it, understanding it. Okay? So to recap, you need to have false information, has to be statement of facts without editorialization. You have to be able to prove that it hurts your reputation, and because of the hurt of reputation that it has hurt you financially, that it can also cause you pain and mental suffering where you're not able to work or progress or do whatever that you want to do. You got to be able to prove all of that in some form or fashion, and if there's confidentiality in it. You have to do all of that. So for all of you all on either side of it are talking about, well, Rayshawn should sue Michael and Michael should sue Rayshawn and blah, blah, blah and all of that. Not so fast. Not so fast. Because let's say that Rayshawn wants to sue Michael for the money that he has paid out over the past year. Because my assumption is Rayshawn did everything he was supposed to do. I would like to assume that. Okay? If it states directly in that contract that if you if you are dethroned or if you do an infringement on this contract, that all monies from day one needs to be returned, and Michael signed that, guess what? Money's got to be returned and he has a leg to stand on. He has a leg to stand on. Okay? So again, we don't know what's in it, but I wanted to take this opportunity to educate. Okay? On that. So, in closing, what I want to say, I'm done with all 3 pages of my notes. What I want to say, if you all have any questions, this would be the time to ask them. Let's see who questions here. Okay, London Bacall, he is teaching. Let's see here. Or if the contract says he or she as a promoter can make any decisions, you're stuck. Okay, if they do an addendum clause, Ontario, that's what you're talking about, that this contract encompasses all information but not limited to, is basically what you're saying, okay? But it has to say, but not limited to attached addendums to this. So for example, the way that works, again, educating. Let's suppose that you don't have a very specific social media clause in your contract, and your title holder posted some foolishness on social media. You really shouldn't dethrone them for it. You have them delete it. You counsel them and correct them. You put it in writing. You add it as an addendum to the contract. You acknowledge it. They acknowledge it. And now it becomes binding. That's what you're talking about. And yes, that should be done. Break down what is in the contract. Hold on, Sandra, I'll get to you in a minute. Break down what is in the contract, and then after that, all is said and done, take the necessary actions. Yeah, that's very true, Darrington. May I ask again, if a person did not fulfill their obligations for 2 national systems and didn't return prizes for at least one of them, how are they to take seriously the promoter? Okay, Sandra, I get your point. I am not one to be politically correct, okay? So I'm just going to call it out as I see it, okay? Most people in the general public knows some of the challenges that the promoter of King and Queen has had in 2 of his titles. Not going to get into details. I was not there. But Sandra, since you put it out there, it is common knowledge. So let me answer it this way. A person being a contestant is very different than them winning a title. A person winning a title is very different than how they're going to reign. As we all know, there are many people who are not good contestants, but when they become a title holder, they're very good and vice versa. And there are many people that we've seen that have won a title that don't know how the hell to reign. Okay? So just because they know how to win a title doesn't mean they know how to reign. I think that's part of the point that you're trying to make. Okay? Now, just because a person has been a contestant, just because a person has been a title holder, and just because a person has reign, or lack thereof a reign, which is the point that you're trying to make, that has nothing to do with what type of promoter that they are. Being a promoter is a different skill. For example, one of the best promoters I've ever had in my entire career, I've had quite a few. I'm going to name 2 of them, okay, that I've had from, let's say, the local level going to the national level. One is Glenn Moore, when I won USA. And the other was Albert Frank Hardiman, who was my promoter when I won Black America. Neither one of them competed in a pageant ever in life. And both of them are 2 of the best promoters in the industry, period, full stop. Okay? So Sandra, your point is taken, and I understand how could they take it seriously. So Rayshawn, when you watch this, if you want to address that, please feel free to do so, because that's addressed to you. But at the end of the day, it is in some ways apples and oranges, because the skills to be a promoter is very different than the skills to be a title holder. So that's my thought. All right. Asking for a friend. Sandra, you're killing me. Well, Kyle, what about your breach of contract with the cup? And wait a minute, girl. No breach of contract, Boo-Boo Kitty. We have graduated to a Coca-Cola bottle. Okay, Nicole. Let's see here. Brandon, who's going to compete at King and Queen on November 10th in Indiana? Now, Brandon, you know this is not that forum. So you are saying he learned from his own wrongdoings? No, Sandra, that's not what I'm saying, because we're comparing apples and oranges. You're talking about when he had challenges. Well, I'm not going to get into the systems he had challenges with. But at the end of the day, he had challenges with 2 of his titles. Okay, fine. Again, we all know that. Okay? That's a different skill set than running a pageant, owning a pageant, raising the money, paying your winners, putting your contract, promoting them, etc., etc. 2 totally different skills. I'm not saying what he learned or what he didn't learn. That's not where I'm going. Okay? What I'm saying, Sandra, is that it's a different skill set. So I'm not going to judge him as a promoter because of the challenges he had as a title holder. 2 totally different things. So there you go. Come on, Glenn Moore. Yes, Glenn Moore is everything. Okay? All right, any other questions for me? Okay, because in closing to all of this, let me ask a question. Did you all learn something tonight? I hope y'all learned something tonight. Okay, because the show that I was going to do was on at-large contestants and give Neo Hall and Ontario and some other people some grief. Okay, that was my plan. So Ontario, you are next, my friend, okay? I'm going to let you have it in a good way. Okay, listen, do you feel this will encourage contestants to go compete at King? Encourage or discourage? I don't know. I've always been of the adage that you pick your title, you go win it, and you have your individual experience. Okay, because at the end of the day, when you win a crown and sash, it is your title. It is yours. Your promoter owns the franchise to the right to the title, but the title belongs to you. For 365 days, it is yours. What you choose to do with it and what you choose not to do with it is all on you. It's all on you. If you choose to end it, it is all on you if you're doing right. And if you're doing wrong, and if you're infringing on your contract, then you are in fact still ending it. You know, so there you go. Let's see. And I take notes every single time. Freckles, good question, Seymour. Hey, David Freckles, good to see you. I think anyone knows to read the contract and decide if it's right for them. Well, again, Adrian, reading it and understanding it are two totally different things. And what I've seen happen is that you have people reading the words of contracts, but not understanding it and not asking questions. Okay, we got to have two sides of that topic. Yes, Ontario, we will. So my 6-pack will gladly meet your 6-pack. How about that? So anyway, yeah, like school. Exactly. Okay. Any other questions for me? Any other questions? I hope that we learned something. I try very hard to be fair and open-minded, you know, with this. I wish Michael the best of luck. I think he's going to do amazing competing at AAG. I will, you know, cheer for him. You know, this is a bump in the road. And to Rayshawn, you know, Rayshawn is my friend. I think King and Queen is a wonderful system. I have no reason to think otherwise. My assumption is that he's done everything that he was supposed to do. I'm sure that he will get through this bump of the road. He's going to crown, hopefully, two people that are amazing, who are going to really dedicate their year to that system and, you know, and be the king and queen that he deserves, you know, and I hope that for him. And we already have issues with decline in pageantry, always drama, and every pageant is not helping build it back up. You know, that's very true, Brittany. It is very true. But, you know, at the end of the day, all you contestants out there, the title's yours. Okay? And understand, it costs you just as much to reign as it does to compete. But you know something? I'm not going to get on that. That's a different show. I think I've even done a show like that before. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and conclude here. Thank you very much for joining Crowning Concepts. Congratulations to the Black Universe Court, to Lavelle, and to Savannah, and to Desiree. They're giving up their titles this weekend. Congratulations to them on a stellar year. They looked amazing. Savannah, I'm sorry we didn't get the chance to do our show together. I may bring you in for another show. And I will probably be doing another show in another 2 weeks. So with that being said, I love you all. Thank you for continuing to support me. This was a very impartial forum. You were just a thing. Thank you, D'Artagnan. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for supporting this. This is my way of giving back to the community. And I'll be talking to you all in about 2 weeks. All right. Take care, everyone. Love you all. Bye-bye.